It is the news we've all been waiting for, folks. If you're an Alabama fan, if you're a college football fan, if you're Georgia, Michigan, whoever, who is going to replace Nick Saban? Well, we're still kind of waiting and hoping that they work out all the details, but it seems like the breaking news, Kalen DeBoer of Washington, the Washington Huskies that lost to Michigan in the national championship, is going to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We are live on Ballard Sports Media and my friend Mayhem Matthews' channel. We'll get him in here in just a second, as I think he's trying to set up and get ready, but he said he wanted to go live and talk about this with me. So this is Christian Ballard of Ballard Sports Media, in case anyone's watching on Mayhem Matthew. Subscribe to him if you're not already. If you are subscribed to him, great. Hit the thumbs up, help his channel and everything. And with that being said, we got Mayhem Matthew here. We got the Alabama background on his channel. I hope he's not too upset about that. But we are talking about Tuscaloosa. We are talking about the Crimson Tide. Mayhem, I got to ask you, bro, what's your initial thoughts on this hire?
I think it's a great hire. Right before I came on here, I think isn't it official? Kalen DeBoer to
Yeah,
Alabama, right?
pretty much.
So with that being said, I think this is a great hire for Alabama. If you look at Alabama's history with hiring head coaches, you're going to look at um, serious coaches, right? Nick Saban was a serious coach. Gene Stallings was a serious coach. Paul Bear Bryant, serious coach. You can go down the list of serious coaches that Alabama has hired. I think this is an excellent hire. I really didn't get the hype around Dan Lanning. Yes, Dan Lanning is an excellent coach. Don't get me wrong. But I think if you want me to be completely honest, I think this hire, Kalen DeBoer, is I wouldn't say better, but I think it's definitely up there with the Dan Lanning hire. I think it's a splash hire for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, don't forget, guys, hit that thumbs up as you're watching. If you're watching on Facebook too, leave a reaction. We would love to hear from you in the comments. Kalen DeBoer's record at Washington, actually, really, he has been a head coach at Fresno State as well. Overall, he's 104-12. He's 2-1 in bowl games. He's 1-1 in the CFP. Got Washington to the national title game. 25-3 as a head coach at Washington. That's the record that we have up on the screen. He's a winner. He's that guy. But like I said about Texas and Oklahoma, they're coming to the SEC now. Kalen DeBoer obviously going to the SEC. What's your thoughts on how he's going to be able to handle the competition? Obviously, with teams like Georgia on the schedule this year, Oklahoma, Auburn, we could go down the list that Alabama's going to have to face.
Well, that's going to be the question that everybody has coming into this hire. Kalen DeBoer in the SEC, is it a good fit? That is the biggest question that people are going to ask. As far as winning goes, I don't think anybody's going to ask that question on can Kalen DeBoer win. He's won everywhere he's went. He's been in the Power Five only with Washington, and in them 2 years, he turned a Washington program that was 4-8. And then the very next year, as a head coach, he went 11-2. And then this year, he went to the national championship game. Unfortunately, he was facing Michigan, which has a lot better players than Washington, and just got bullied. But that was no fault of his own. And it was his very first time being in the playoffs. And Michigan has been there before. They've been to the playoffs, 2 or 3 times. So with that being said, I think Kalen DeBoer is definitely a winner. And guess what they say? If you win, then you can fit, right? You can fit right on along. wherever you go, if as long as you win, right? The moment you start losing, then people are going to say, well, you wasn't a good fit for the culture or for the SEC. So as long as he's winning, people are going to say that he's a good fit.
So you look at Kalen DeBoer, and how would you assess how he could probably do in the SEC in terms of it's not going to be what the Pac-12 is, but you got to think he had to handle teams like USC this year and Caleb Williams. He had to face Bo Nix in Oregon and Dan Lanning, who almost got this job, at least speculated. So you bring that experience over to the SEC, where now you're going to have to play Texas and Oklahoma down the road. You got Auburn in the Iron Bowl. You got Georgia. You got all these teams. I know I kind of asked this question already, but again, how does he transfer that success over to the SEC?
Well, he's going to have to hire some SEC coaches on his staff. He's going to have to hire. He's going to have to make some splash. Um, he's going to have to make some splash hires for Alabama. He's going to have to also keep some of Alabama's staff. In order to be successful, he's going to have to hire some SEC minded coaches on his staff. So, but also you can ask the question pretty much to every single coach in the SEC, because look at Florida's schedule, look at Georgia's schedule next year, look at Oklahoma's schedule next year. It's not the easiest schedule in the world.
Right, absolutely. And I do want to go ahead and share screen. We'll do team previews and this off season. I went ahead and did Michigan out of respect for the national champions. Go ahead and get them out of the way. But we were waiting on this hire to go ahead and do an Alabama preview, and I will do one here in a couple days. But when you look at this schedule, Western Kentucky, USF, at Wisconsin, get a bye week. You play Georgia, at Vandy, South Carolina, Tennessee on the road, Missouri. I could go down the list. You get a second bye week. You play LSU, you play Mercer, you play Oklahoma, you play Auburn. Okay. Is there any reason to think that with Kalen DeBoer at head coach, is under 10 wins next season likely, or is he hitting the top of the pole there with Alabama? What do you think?
Well, it is definitely possible to go under 10 wins. I think it's almost impossible. I think you have to win 8 games with that schedule. It's a 8 games or bust in the first year. Even Kirby Smart went 7-5 his first year with a loaded team, because Mark Richt was a great recruiter. So even Kirby Smart in his first year went 7-5. Even Nick Saban himself went 7-5 in his very first year at Alabama. Yes, they were pretty much in the garbage can whenever he got there, but they went 7-5 his first year. I would expect a slight drop off. I don't think y'all going to go 11-1 or 12-0. That's definitely not going to happen in the first year of Alabama. But I don't think anybody's expecting that. The greatest coach of all time, the greatest college football coach of all, just left the building, right? The greatest head coach of all time just left the building. And you're filling some shoes that are really big, right? So it is crazy to sit there and say, well, we're going to just keep on moving along like we've always been doing, right? Yes, Kalen DeBoer is a winner, and he will win at Alabama. That is the truth. For 2024, I look at the 4-game stretch: South Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri, and LSU. Them are the 4 games I'm looking at, and I'm saying, well, you might go 2-2 in them games. And you also got Georgia as well, which that's an automatic loss. So I don't think we have to talk about that. But as far as
I would agree.
them other 4 games, I think them other 4 games there, you can expect maybe to go 2-2 in them games. Um, and I think the best case scenario here is 9-3 or 10-2.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see. I I think the goal, because what you don't want to do if you're Kalen DeBoer is catch a lot of slack in your first year. You don't want to go below 500. But honestly, I think at worst you're looking at 7-5 or 8-4. At most, maybe he does reach 10 win. I don't know. I see you shaking your head, but I mean, where do you find some disagreement there?
7-5. Kalen Boer's not going 7-5 at Alabama. That's just not going to happen. I think he has too many
Okay, okay.
resources at Alabama. I think the resources at Alabama, and especially since he's a winning ball coach, he only has 12. He only has 12 losses in his coaching career. So, and he made the national championship this past season, going almost undefeated, 14-1. Um, you know, I just don't see a world where Kalen DeBoer goes 7-5 in his first year, or even 8-4. I think it's a 9-3 or bust. 9-3, 10-2. No, I do not think y'all gonna go undefeated. No, I do not think y'all gonna just have one loss. I think y'all probably have two losses or most three. I think three is probably the most Alabama gets here. You still got to go through and make sure you keep these guys signed, because they have 30 days to I think they can get out of their letter of intent. They got 30 days to decide something. You got to make sure you keep them guys. You got to make sure you keep your guys that are currently on the team, and you got to keep a lot of guys on your staff too. So, and you got to make you got to make some hires at offense coordinator, defense coordinator. Do you keep Tommy Rees? Who do you hire for defense coordinator? Do you go after Glenn Schumann? That's been a hot button name that Alabama's been talking about. Glenn Schumann there. Can you get him away from Georgia? It's going to be a tall task, because I think he likes it there at Georgia, but he is a graduate from Alabama. So can you make these explosive hires and get you a good coaching, get you a good coaching staff around you to be successful?
Oh, you can keep reading the comments. I'm gonna go see what my grandmother needs real quick.
All right. Um, Steve Pearson says, wouldn't want to be the coach replacing Saban. I'd want to be a guy replacing the guy who replaces Saban. Well, if Kalen DeBoer goes out and replaces Saban and wins 9 games and 9 or 10 games, and then in 3 or 4 years is in the playoff picture, right? Then maybe we see something happen there. I mean, I would want to take the challenge myself. What's up, Eric?
What's up, everybody? How are you, Bagel?
What's your thoughts on Kalen DeBoer replacing Nick Saban?
Hey,
Not
Eric.
good. Oh, it's not a very good day for me, I tell you that, because I'm also a big Washington fan, so this one's kind of stinging right now a little bit. Yep.
Let me backtrack a little bit. So I did step away because my grandmother needed to show me something that uh so I won't say where, but they have another house in Alabama, right? So she was following that town's police department on Facebook, and they put out this thing about receiving some calls about Coach Saban possibly retiring last night, and they put it out like right before he actually retired and stuff, and said they are a very supportive community and want to be there for the Crimson Tide residents and help them through this difficult transition. But it said Uh, it said, "We just ask that you please keep your celebratory toast to your respective homes and to please not try to visit any other city establishments afterwards or drink or drive anywhere tonight. Let's just go to bed and face this tomorrow with a fresh perspective." Anyway, that's what I went out there for her to see what she needed. She wanted to show me that post. Now, let's get serious for a second. Kalen DeBoer leaving Washington, going to the Crimson Tide. This is huge news. And we got Mayhem here to break it down. We got our friend Eric on here as well. Um, I'm assuming, is he okay with all this? He's muted, by the way, so I don't know what's going on with his camera either. But
I will say this, right? I'm gonna respond to Country Proper. Remember your words when we win another SEC title. I'm not saying that y'all would never win another SEC. I'm not saying that y'all will never win another SEC title. I don't know. I don't know where you got that from, but y'all will not win another SEC title this year.
what's up, Colby?
What's up, boys?
How you doing, bro?
Oh, better than the
I
Bama
got
fans
you
right
back
now.
woke.
We know that.
No, I'm hanging in there. It's a rainy day here in Georgia.
Yeah. So,
So
what's
what you
your
think,
thoughts
Ballard?
on Kalen DeBoer?
Oh, I think it's an all right hire. I mean, going back, he's got over 100 wins and like in his teens when it comes to losses.
Yeah,
I think it's a good
104,
hire.
104 and 12 at about three schools: Sioux Falls, Fresno State, and Washington. What's interesting is he's pretty quick to get out the door. You look at Sioux Falls, he was there for 5 years, but then Fresno State only took him 2 years. And then, of course, Washington the past 2 seasons after he took over for Chris Peterson.
Yeah, see, I just don't know.
Which worries me, because what if he does a great job at Alabama, but then someone comes along and scoops him up? I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's long term, but at the same time, like, if the money's there, he seems like that guy that follows the money. Does anyone else get that vibe?
I don't.
No, I wouldn't say he follows them. I mean, well, I don't know. I don't know too much about him, so I really
I
can't
don't
say.
even know his con. I want to double check his contract he's getting here.
I think Alabama is doing a press conference at 4. Did you
Is
hear
it
about that,
four?
Ballard? Yeah, 4. I'm
So
guessing
so
it's
is that
Eastern
a
time.
4 Eastern? So it'll be 3 o'clock in Tuscaloosa.
No, it'll be 5 o'clock, wouldn't it?
Oh, 4 Central. Okay.
Oh, 4 Central. Okay.
I don't know. You tell me. You're the one that brought up 4 o'clock. So
Oh well, I just heard 4, and usually people when they bring up times, it's usually Eastern Standard Time. So I'm guessing at 5 o'clock y'all's
yeah.
time.
So what's interesting about this though is I read this morning. I had saw he was supposed to be Kalen DeBoer was supposed to be on a Seattle radio station, and he canceled. And I said that is a key to what's fixing to take place. I didn't predict. I didn't call this, but I said be careful and watch out.
Yeah, I was thinking something was going to happen today or tomorrow. I mean, they had to get it done quick. Like Alabama, they don't. You would think they would get it done real quick. You don't have time to wait around, you know. Bless me. Sorry.
Brain dead Gump in the comments here. I'll be careful saying this because I got to be careful. He needs to get his blank size for Kirby's foot. We're done.
Well,
Oh my
I'm gonna be
gosh.
honest. I'm gonna be I don't know why, but I think this is the best hire that you could have made outside of maybe Dabo Sweeney. And I know Bama fans don't want to hear that, but Dabo Sweeney, you better. I mean, I know he don't want to do the transfer portal thing, but I mean, he has 2 national championships, and I think outside of him, I think Kalen DeBoer was the next best thing. I really wasn't
I agree.
high. I wasn't high on the Dan Lanning thing. Yes, I know he's a great coach, but I like Kalen DeBoer a little bit better.
Yeah.
Well,
Like I
what do you
said
think,
too.
Ballard? You're the big Bama guy. What do you think?
I love the hire, but I want Alabama fans out there to understand something, which is kind of what I was fixing to get to before you asked that question. I love the hire. I think he's going to do great. I'm curious about his recruiting techniques and what he wants to do there. Does he use the transfer portal? But he's a winner, and you got to respect that. He's not. How fast does he get us a national championship is the big question, because Alabama fans can only wait so long. We have never seen Nick Saban go 3 years without one until this year, and then he hung it up, right? And the other thing is this: Kalen DeBoer, what Alabama fans need to understand is he is never going to touch what Nick Saban has done. There's not a coach out there that's going to reach 7 in total. There's not a single coach. I don't care what you Georgia fans think. Kirby might get 5, but that's it. Like, I don't think he's hitting 10 or
Yeah,
15 or 20 or anything like that. Like, you just can't get better than what. I mean, it took Nick Saban, do the math, 13 seasons, 14 maybe, to get 7 in total or 6 in total at Bama, but like it still took them like 25 years to get 7.
yeah. Well, he was there for what, 16 years, something like that.
There,
Yeah,
sorry to cut y'all off.
16, 17.
There's I don't want to cut y'all off, but there is 41 people watching. So y'all hit the like and subscribe button for both of our
Hey, we
channels.
appreciate that. Love you guys.
Yeah, I think
But
it's a
continue.
good hire. I know y'all wanted Dan Lanning. I don't know if y'all. I don't even know if y'all reached out to Dabo or.
I don't
I
think
think
they
y'all
even
reached out to
tried. I think
Sark.
they knew there was. I think they knew there would be a no in Dabo, so they probably didn't even try. But
Yeah,
that's just my
Dabo's
opinion.
like Pigskin Pete said. He's practicing what he preaches, and he's gonna stay at Clemson. I know Mike Norvell signed that deal earlier today for what, 10 years or 8 years or what? 10 years, $8 million, whatever it was, and it's gonna be tough for them to get all that NIL shit back that they got going on. But I feel
Yeah,
like this is like kind of the best option they could have went with outside of like the people that they wanted, which is Dan Mullen, Dabo. They obviously wanted Kirby Smart. I don't even know if they were like even offered him, because that would have been a definite no. So that's 3,
yeah,
and then Mike Norvell. That's 4. So their fifth option is good old Kalen DeBoer, and sorry, my wife was talking to me for a second, and I feel
yeah,
like it's a good option though.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But he's not Nick Saban. No one is Nick Saban, like Ballard said. So it's gonna be tough to replace him, man, and that's why no one wanted the job.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I
I'll say
think.
this.
Go ahead.
I'll say this, right? I think, Kalen DeBoer is going to do great things at Alabama. I don't think you should expect him to go out his first year and win the national title. That's not going to happen. And just like the guy said earlier, this guy said, remember your words when we win another SEC title. I never said y'all would never win another SEC title. I didn't say that. I said this year in 2024, y'all are not going to even make the SEC title probably. I mean, it would be a bonus if y'all did, but y'all not going to win the SEC title in DeBoer's first year.
I don't even
I'll
think we
give him a
make it.
couple years.
I don't even think we're going to make it, because look at Georgia, look at Texas, look at. I guess if you want to look at Oklahoma, I mean,
Ole
there's
Miss
some
looks good.
teams
LSU.
in the SEC. LSU, yeah.
Ole Miss looks good too.
Ole Miss, I'm telling you, I'm not saying that Alabama's going to go below 500. I'm not saying they can't. Like, I don't think 10 win. I'm going to be honest. I know it's a spoiler for my preview video later on. Um, we got to do. I did Michigan so far, and that's it. Because out of respect, you got to respect the champs first. Anyway, Alabama preview video coming soon for sure. I'll just go ahead and let you in on it. I haven't looked at the schedule as a whole, but I could see no more than 8-4. I mean, is that reasonable?
No, I feel like Bama won't take that big of a step back. I wouldn't think so.
Nine and three.
I think
I can't find 10 wins for some reason.
we'll pull up the schedule real quick and we'll look at it.
All right. All right.
Because
And again, I'll still make a video later, but
I know they're
here's
going to
their
beat
schedule
Auburn.
for 2024. Let's see. Western Kentucky. You call them out. Win or loss?
Loss.
Western Kentucky.
Loss.
No.
No, win.
First two are wins.
Yeah,
At
first two.
Wisconsin.
See, I mean, Wisconsin's in the
tough.
dirt right now, so I'm a go with Bama. Bama still has the best team on the field, stats or paper wise.
I'll tell you this: we're not beating Georgia. I think Georgia plays it close, but I think that we chalk that up as an L.
Yeah, just like I said, Georgia, and then you have that 4-game stretch: South Carolina, Missouri, LSU, and Tennessee. I mean, that's going to be a hard 4-game stretch there. Maybe you win 2 and maybe you lose 2. I see at least, I think, worst case scenario, 8-4, best case scenario, 10-2. So I'm gonna go somewhere right in the middle and say 9-3. But that's if you bring in a great coaching staff, which I think Kalen DeBoer will. And that's if your players stay intact, which I think they will, and this recruiting class stays intact pretty much, and I think they will. So with that being said, I mean, I think it's going to be a great year for Kalen DeBoer in year 1 for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Y'all not going to fall off the map or anything like that. Y'all going to be right there in the SEC title conversation, maybe not the playoff conversation, but I can easily see Kalen DeBoer in year 1 in the SEC title conversation. I do not think they're going to win in year 1. That's not going to happen. But as far as being in that title picture, you got Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, and I think Alabama's still right on in to that title picture there.
No. I mean, you look at the talent. You haven't lost too many guys to the portal, I don't think, and it's there. Jalen Milroe, from my understanding, wants to stick around, and I just think it's more than just having the talent on the field. I think Kalen DeBoer has proven to be a winner. What I'm concerned about, Mayhem, is the other side of the coin. Can he handle the SEC? Because it's a step up from the Pac 12. I mean, win those first 2 games at Wisconsin, Luke Fickle over there in Camp Randall and Madison. Bye week, thank you, Jesus. It's before the Georgia game. I think Georgia is a loss. I'll break this down in a separate video, but someone please come on here with some sense. No offense to you, Mayhem, but talk some sense into how he's going to make a 12-team playoff right away with Alabama.
Yeah, Rodney Brown says, have you guys looked at Alabama's roster? I mean, that Alabama
Have you
roster
looked
is
at
going to
this?
change.
I mean, Isaiah Bond's in the portal. You got guys leaving.
I mean, that roster is going to look a little bit different than it is right now. I think to y'all's players, most of them, listen to me, Rodney. I think most of your players at Alabama are going to stay intact. So y'all have a really good roster to go 10-2 or 9-3, but to sit there and say a first-year head coach is going to make a national championship run is ridiculous. So I know you're probably a sunshine pumper, but I mean, Alabama is probably like I said, Alabama is probably going to be in the SEC title hunt. I think they're going to be looking to try to make the SEC title, but as far as playoff goes, not happening, buddy. Not this year. And I definitely think y'all could do it next year, depending on Kalen DeBoer's recruiting and the transfer portal and all that stuff, and getting the coaches in there. But that's a long ways away from now. We're looking at 2024, and I would not be surprised if Alabama didn't make the playoffs this year.
That's what I'm trying to say. It might have to take a year, but I can't promise, but I can say this, that don't be surprised if year 2 for Kalen DeBoer, he's in the 12-team playoff or competing for SEC championships with the Crimson Tide. Dustmeister 88,
Yeah,
UGA
the dust.
I hope you'll find someone you'll like. Love the laid back format. Well, thank you. Laid back format.
Yeah, just make sure you hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. We had as many of like 52 people in here at one time. So
Yep.
make sure y'all hitting that thumbs up. It's completely free. And if y'all really like this content, hit the subscribe button. It's also completely free as well. We're streaming on 2 channels, the Mayhem Matthew channel and the Ballard Sports Media channel. So make sure y'all are liking and subscribing. And he said he already liked. So we really appreciate every single like that comes through. It's completely free of no charge.
Yeah. Jalen Melrose staying. Trying to see who else. We'll
And
find out later on.
I got a question. I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a quarterback battle? Is there going to be a quarterback battle in Tuscaloosa?
It's interesting you bring that up, because what if Kalen DeBoer says no to Jalen Milroe? Ty Simpson, you got Julian Sands, a 5-star true freshman. Yeah, you can ask us something, Dustmeister, anything. Anything you got questions, put them in the comments. That's a good point, Mayhem Matthew, because it's up to the new guy now. There's going to be a lot of position battles. There's going to be transfers. There's going to be young freshmen. There's going to be seniors. There's going to be battles to start on the football field this fall. And you make a good point about the quarterbacks. Joshua Epps says going back to Mike Shula days. I don't know. I don't know about that. I know I just came on here and said like 8-4. That wasn't Mike Shula though. Mike Shula was like 6-6 and lose a bowl. I don't know, man.
But didn't even Mike Shula won 10 games, didn't he? At one time?
I don't think. Did he?
I don't know. Can't remember. I wasn't even born. I wasn't even born back then.
He was a good quarterback. He was a good quarterback.
I'm over here saying I can't even. I'm over here saying I can't even remember, but I wasn't even born back then. So.
What year were you born? Because he was the head coach from like 03 to Saban got there.
Oh, well, never mind. I was born. I was only a baby, though. I was about 4 years old whenever he started. I only remember, I mean, honestly, growing up watching football, I only remember the Nick Saban era in Alabama. But, I mean, I've seen highlights and stuff from old games and stuff. But as far as, head coaches at Alabama, I only remember Nick Saban, but I
You
think
had guys
Kalen
like
DeBoer.
DeBose. DeBose really, I'll tell you what, Mike DeBose, he ticked a lot of Alabama fans off. I mean, they were calling for him to, you know,
I think
um,
I mean, I don't know why some of y'all would be upset with this hire. I would be excited if I was an Alabama fan. I would be extremely excited. Um, Kalen DeBoer is a winner. He's won everywhere he's went. I know he's only been in the Power Five at Washington, but even before that, he's won. It's hard to to be only have 12 losses in your career at this point. That's a hard task, and he's done it. I mean, his record shows for himself. He is a winner. He's been. I mean, guys, remember he took a team that was 4-8 Washington and turned them into a 11-2 team his very first year in the Power Five. Kirby Smart, he went 7-5 his first year. Second year he made the national title. But Kalen DeBoer went 11-2 his first year, and his second year he was in the national title. So, I'm just saying, I think this is a splash hire for Alabama, and if I was an Alabama fan, I would be really excited. I was kind of eyeing Kalen DeBoer's name from the start. I mean, if I was an Alabama fan, I would be extremely excited. He, this year his offensive line won the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line. His quarterback Michael Penix was a Heisman front runner. He had a Dunze, which was the best wide receiver in the nation. You mean to tell me that he can't go out and recruit guys like that at Alabama? You're crazy. You're crazy.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, let's just say this. Let's just say he go. Let's go. I mean, Alabama is known for their defenses. Imagine he goes out and hires a Glenn Schumann. I mean, the fall off ain't going to be that bad. I mean, come on now. Kalen DeBoer is the best possible hire y'all could have made.
Yeah,
Facts.
I fully agree. I just want to know what his message is to um to to Alabama fans, to the community, to thing is, man, like you need a leader, and I think he could be a good leader. I want to see how much of a leader though, because Nick Saban was not just a guy that got 6 championships and then retired. He impacted the community of Tuscaloosa. He impacted the fans, his family, his players. He left a true legacy. Kalen DeBoer, can you do that? Yes, he's a winner. Yes, he can be a winner. But man, it's got to be more than that when it comes to a coach, right? I mean, surely Greg Byrne is looking at him like, what can you do for people too?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. There's going to be no coach like Nick Saban ever, and we already talked about that. But what are the outside of winning national championships? Because you're not going to get 7 national championships in 15 years, like Saban did. You're not going to get that. So you can go ahead and get that out of your mind, right? But
Yeah.
my question to you would be, what as an Alabama fan, what are your expectations? I don't want to hear I want to win a national title in year 3. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear, I want to hear your realistic expectations for this coaching staff, for Kalen DeBoer. Um, I want to know what your realistic expectations. How long are you going to give him to win the national title before you say, okay, it's done and over with. We need somebody new. You know, I want to know, like, what is the very first priority in your books? Is it making the SEC title game, or is it making a
Yes.
playoff appearance? I mean, what is your
Stick
expectations?
to winning. First off, can you consistently do anything? Can you make the SEC title first? But then can you get back and win it? You got to build, right? But think about what he's walking into, though. Roy Dell Williams, Jalen Milroe. I could go down the list with Caleb Downs on defense. Think about the guys. Now, some of them might transfer, some of them might leave. Recruits might flip. Recruits might go to Alabama for Kalen DeBoer. I don't know what he's going to do as far as the players, but there should be enough talent there in Tuscaloosa that he could put together a winning football team and put together a winning football program. And the fans need to have some gratitude for what Nick Saban did and understand nobody's going to live up to that. But if you want to talk Kalen DeBoer and what the expectations should be for him, I'm looking at him saying, bro, can you win the SEC? Can you compete with the SEC? Just compete with the SEC in year one. Be competitive against the teams you're going to have to play, like Tennessee and Arkansas and Auburn and Georgia and Vanderbilt. Don't I'm not saying you can't have a loss or two, but can you be above 500 in conference play and then maybe be above 500 on the schedule as a whole? That's my expectations right now, is taking it one game at a time and just being competitive. Is that fair?
You know, yeah, I think that's fair. I'm gonna bring up somebody, and I know what y'all gonna say in the comments. Y'all gonna say, "Well, he already had experience coaching. He was already a great coach before he got there." But let's talk about Brian Kelly at LSU. You know, the biggest question for him coming into the SEC is, can he win in the SEC? That was the biggest question. I'm not talking about his past coaching history and all that stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about whenever he first came to LSU just 2 years ago. The question was, can you win in the SEC? Just like we're asking now about Kalen DeBoer. Can he win in the SEC? He won at Washington. He went to national title. Can he do that same success at Alabama? And, you know, Brian Kelly in his very first year at LSU beat Alabama and made the SEC championship game. So with that being said, I think Kalen DeBoer has the resources. Actually, I know Kalen DeBoer has the resources at Alabama to be successful. I think that Nick Saban is going to be able to help Kalen DeBoer kind of get settled in. You know, Kalen DeBoer is going to ask the greatest of all time head coach for some coaching. He's going to ask some coaching questions. He's going to say, you know, Nick Saban is going to have an input on who Kalen DeBoer has on his staff. If you don't believe that, then I just don't believe it, I guess. But Nick Saban is going to have a lot of input as far as.
Yeah, Fireball volunteer fan says Ballard's serious question is DeBoer, with a D though, a great coach, or did Penix make him look better? What do you think, Mayhem?
Well,
Penix was
think
good
about
on his
this.
own.
I mean, Michael Penix was a guy from India that went to Indiana, and then he came over to Washington. Well, there's a reason why Penix came to Washington, and that has to be DeBoer, right? You know, coaching. Yeah. I mean, you got to be able to get the guys into your program to be successful. I mean, you know. I mean, just like Nick Saban, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just like Nick Saban, you know, he got the guys to come into his program and believe in the program, and and he was able to have them guys believe, and he won with them guys. So I mean, it don't matter who you have on your, I mean, it does matter. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter. It does matter who you have on your roster, but your head coach is the one who pretty much said, hey, Michael Penix, you're going to be the starting quarterback of our Washington team. So I mean, it still goes back to the head coach.
Absolutely. Well, Mayhem, thanks so much for doing this, man. I got to get ready to go soon. Got a game tonight. Don't forget, we'll have a live stream for you from Vinemont High School in Alabama. If the signal's good, we'll go live. If it's not, we'll just cancel the stream. But we do have a basketball game with Coleman's WKUL.com 92.1 if you're in the area. Mayhem, thanks for coming on, buddy. I love you, bro. And we'll see what Kalen DeBoer can do. Any final words before we get out of here?
Yeah, I just wanted to answer this last thing. He said, I'm just saying Penix like player is hard to come by now. Will he do that with Milroe? I absolutely think he will do that with Milroe. I think this guy's going to be able to keep a lot of the Alabama players. And I think Nick Saban is going to have his input as well. Nick Saban's going to be talking to these players about staying at Alabama and finishing off with Kalen DeBoer. So with that being said, I think Kalen DeBoer is going to keep a lot of these Alabama guys in recruiting and the guys that are already on the team. Yes, of course, like Isaiah Bond, you're going to have some guys hit the transfer portal, and in recruiting, you're going to have some guys get out of their letter of intent. But with that being said, if you like this content, smash the thumbs up. And if you really like this content, hit the subscribe button on Mayhem Matthew and Ballard Sports Media. And go Dogs.
Roll Tide forever. I love you guys. Thank you, Coach Saban, for 17 awesome years. Kalen DeBoer, let's see what you got. I love y'all.